Hey y'all, welcome to the Clock Tower. I'm Colton, here with Brandon. Last game of the first round of the Holy Grail War taking place right now. Gilgamesh versus Kirei Kotomine. Brandon, you're running Kirei. What is going on with this deck?
Well, this deck is really going to be focused on, especially at level 1, getting the event into memory. This event allows my whole field to be powered up, so if I can get my whole field bigger than yours, I can help deny those reverses that your burn combo so specifically needs. So if I can get big, stay big, not only will I continue to win board, save resources that way, I'll be able to deny your board and deny the extra burns from the top end. What about you, Colton? What about your Gilgamesh deck that you're playing?
On the flip side of things, Gilgamesh literally just does what he wants. He swings for as much soul damage as possible, starting on turn 1, slamming climaxes, and trying to push for more damage with that level 2 combo. On reverse, reveal top 2 and mill, burn 1 for every soul icon revealed. So if you reveal one of those stock souls, you're burning for 1 twice. It can do a lot of extra damage at level 2, can really push. It does require the reverse, but it can usually get over because you can pitch a card to give that Gilgamesh 4,000 power. You can pick your lanes. It's honestly really effective damage. It doesn't do a whole lot else except at level 3, where it completely shifts gears and starts playing defense when the level 3 combo is down, pitch the climax, deny climaxes. Probably one of the most high-rolly decks you'll see in all of Fate. It's super dependent on getting all of its stuff together, but if it does, it works. It's one of those decks where you just kind of along for the ride. So that's me with Gilgamesh on the right, Brandon with Kirei on the left.
Yep.
This is one of the few games that we did not record on that long day of recording.
Yeah, this was kind of more or less a test run, making sure everything was working well, making sure everything was going to be somewhat successful going forward. With Kirei, part of getting the events into memory, there's an event bonder that gets them from waiting room. Now, so having events in waiting room to be able to pull back into hand is kind of helpful in that instance, so I can trade out other cards in hand to be able to get those events. Don't have one yet in waiting room, so kind of needing to either mill through that or be able to get something in the hand to help deny these reverses. So I start off with this Lancer here. Lancer being pretty fitting with Kirei, but at the same time, it also helps sustain a little bit longer, being able to potentially stay alive if I reveal a level 2 from the top of the deck. Level 2 or higher.
Yeah, for me, it's, rushing is good with Gilgamesh. Pretty straightforward. There are cards that allow you to swing for more soul.
So on the reverse here, I reveal the 0. So it does not rest itself.
Yeah, and triggering 2 souls doesn't, that's one of the things that the deck does, right? It's meant to rush. It's meant to make you uncomfortable. It denies level 1 combos by not giving you a second turn to get your level 1 combo, more than actually playing defense.
At this point, I'm more annoyed that I just took all of that damage, and of course clocked the climax from the event. Now that I'm like a little more than a level behind, I'm basically playing catch up at this point.
Mm-hmm. The Elias help mill, of course, and the Elias also target pretty much everything in this list of yours.
Kirei being a master character definitely helps with that. Bond for the event.
So that character in the middle of your front row right now,
Yep.
that's an interesting card. Talk about that card for a sec.
This is the bonder to the event that's in memory. It gains additional power for each of those in memory itself. So the event in memory, currently translated as Baptismal Chant, is something that gives the board basically 1k power. Kirei, as long as Baptismal Chant's in memory, gets an additional 1k power. So right now it's sitting at about 6k power-wise. If I have two of them in memory, it becomes 8k, etc. So like it has the ability to get pretty big pretty quickly. And because that 1k power is a continuous effect there, it's something that will last beyond level 1. So with my level 2s and level 3 game, I'm able to continue to have that power. But this level 1 pairs really well with a 2-1 in Waiting Room. When it goes into Waiting Room and the 2-1 is in Waiting Room, I can essentially pay 1, discard a card to bring that 2-1 from Waiting Room onto stage. So it kind of basically allows me to more or less change cards in hand into those cards. So the 2-1 1,000 power for every other character on board, plus the 1,000 power in memory, all of a sudden now we're looking at pretty excessive numbers.
You also passed turn before swinging with the Elia on your turn?
Yes.
Which, when you're behind a level, is an interesting decision.
Yeah. Part of it was I was trying to keep you at 0.
Yeah. Basically kind of betting that because I had slammed a bunch of zeros that I didn't have enough to fill my board again kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. And then you turn around and do it anyway. I'm like, if I can, I was trying to, if I could level lock you out, then I could essentially take advantage of that and then get my level back. It was really what I was hoping for. But that, and you wouldn't be able to kill my level 1, so it'd also be able to keep board.
Right.
So it was kind of a both and kind of situation. Because Kirei costs quite a bit of hand, you have to work very hard to figure out ways to keep hand or build hand again. Like, right now, I have no more hand. If I don't play unless I keep the climax in hand. I decide healing is probably the best way to go about this, and then slam. So I'm like, I don't have anything in hand. I'm at this point needing to push soul just because you're going to get to level 1 regardless whether I do anything or not. Triggering here helps me be able to potentially get hand, but it's not really worth it near this close to refresh. And despite the number of climaxes you triggered, you still cancel damage.
Gilgamesh feels weird to pilot.
Yes.
Like, I've played Soul Rush before. Right? Like, I've played stuff that, you just drop characters on board, drop a 2 soul, and just start swinging, right? Like, that's not abnormal. It's not something I've not played before. But Gilgamesh is just so gung ho. Like, even looking at its just looking at its lineup, it runs 19 zeros.
Yeah.
Like, it's just so concerned about making sure it gets characters on board and keeps them there. It doesn't really concern itself too much with plussing. It's more concerned about making sure that it has characters on board and that you eventually draw into your 2/1 so that you can try to push even more damage.
Yeah, it also has quite a bit of power pump to help your 2/1 get over different things.
Yep, like the saber, for example.
Yeah. Or in the archer right there. For the level 0 archer, power pump to be able to give additional things for that as well.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
And the archer's also good because so many of the Gilgamesh cards have the name Archer.
yeah.
Which ironically makes a lot of Reen cards playable with Gilgamesh. There aren't any in this list, but that's a thing you can do, which is funny.
Absolutely. It's just so interesting to see it because, like, especially with the top end, you also run the Musashi Saber as well because you're really just trying to get extra instances
Right.
of burn. That's really it's all about burn, burn, burn as you get towards the end.
Yep.
Whereas Kirei is more like, I'll take the hit early because I want to make it up later.
Mm-hmm. Gilgamesh's top end, which I mean, we're gonna see in a minute, but it's also interesting because level 2, 4 of the level 2 combo. Level 3, 4 Musashis, 4 of the level 3 combo. It's incredibly straightforward. There's no tech here. It knows exactly what it wants to do. And now
I'm at level 3.
and now yeah, you're in a weird spot because you potentially have to deal with the Gilgamesh burn.
Yeah, I more or less do at this point because my 1-0 is only 6-5 with the Kirei in the back.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, I really don't have a lot of choices there.
It also doesn't help that you don't have the stock
To do anything else. Yeah.
or to get other, 2 souls level 3s down. Because realistically, getting down another level 3 would be hard. It would be hard for me to get over that.
It would. Part of it was just not quite having stock for all of that.
Mm-hmm.
Going up so quickly in damage, you're not building enough stock to be able to kind of get as much down as you would like. Thankfully, the Kirei restand is significantly cheaper than the caster restander, but
Yeah.
at the same time, I'm also now 3-0, and you're at 2-5, so I'm like, I'm catching back up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and Gilgamesh also doesn't necessarily compress, right? It's not that worried about compression.
And I realistically only have really given you one good lane for a reverse. I think you're
Right.
going to have enough power pump to get over the 2-1-2 here, but
The thing with the Gilgamesh combo is that you can pitch out of hand, and you can do that as much as you need. You can just pitch cards from hand and make sure that you have the power to get Gilgamesh over. If you pitch 2, Gilgamesh is at 15-5 by himself.
yeah.
So I didn't have a whole lot of hand at this point.
It makes sense. Plus, you also knew I was pretty decently compressed, I think, at this point. Like, I'm not...
Yeah. This is me making sure I know how the
Right.
combo works.
Reveal 1.
And of course, there's always the very real chance of just whiffing. with this as well.
Mhm.
Because all you need to do is reveal 2 of those 19 zeros. So it's high risk, high reward. You're hoping you mill one of the climaxes.
Yeah, pretty much. It just at this point, it's more of having the right playable in hand.
Mm-hmm. And that's also something you could do, if you wanted to take the emphasis off the Soul Rush and make this more about the 2-1 burn combo. You could play, 14 or 15 zeros and play more stuff that fixes hand or adds to hand.
Yeah. Partly because I don't really have hand anymore. I elect to go with healing just because I figure if I can just try to remove your board or deny you having those cards again for the final turn or for the next turn,
Yeah.
then I'm like, if I can take away that burn combo, I know your top end is more defensive.
Right.
Like, I know my compression's not great at this point, but I also know you were struggling with cards in hand. So I'm like, what could you have? I knew that you had at least one of those, but I didn't realize you had 2 Musashi burns in there.
I wasn't going to be able to do anything about your level 3 game because I couldn't deny climaxes because I need to get to level 3 first with Gilgamesh in order to deny that because that's how that combo works. So, me being at 2-5, 2-6 is not a great position for me to be in. That's the place where I can do nothing. But the Musashi Sabers are so good.
They really are. And that's 7, so you also had the climax in hand, so whatever.
I did, yeah, I did have the climax in hand. I was pretty well set up, but that's the thing with Gilgamesh again, is that it's a bit high rolly, but if it gets going, if it can push damage, it runs, 4 of everything it needs past level 2. So it's far more likely to draw into its endgame than an opponent that plays a more diverse top end and requires more turns for fixing.
Whereas Kirei benefits better from a slower game early, so that way it can build up that power wall to survive longer later.
Mm-hmm.
No, I think it was a fun game, being able to see some of the components of both decks. You saw being able to change the level 1 into level 2s. You're also able to see the reverse burn combo for Gilgamesh. I think it was a pretty good start for those decks. We'll see both of those decks again. Gilgamesh advances to the next round. I'll take on Elia next time. Kirei falls into the Lesser Grail and will face off against the Dark Sakura deck. Tomorrow, we're going to be looking at Saber versus Caster as we go into the first game of the second round.
Semifinals start tomorrow. We are about halfway through the Holy Grail War at this point. Please like, share, leave a comment, and subscribe. And until tomorrow, have a good one.
We'll see you then.